My name is Walter Green. I'm 73 years old, and I have cancer. Stage 4. The kind doctors don't try to sugarcoat. They just give you a soft look and say, make yourself comfortable. I've accepted it now. I know I don't have much time left. But there's one thing I never thought I'd be doing in my final days, fighting off my own son. Before we move further, please give this story a thumbs up and subscribe for more real-life stories just like this. Let me know in the comments what you would have done if you were in my shoes. I'd love to know if I made the right decision to cut my son off for good. Let me start from the beginning. I wasn't born rich. In fact, I came from nothing. Dirt roads, shared meals, and cold winters with no heating. My father worked in a factory until he broke his back. My mother cleaned houses. So from a young age, I learned that if I wanted anything in this life, I had to work for it. At 17, I was already laying bricks under the hot sun, 6 days a week, sometimes 7. I didn't have a fancy education. No college degree. Just 2 strong hands, a bad back by the end of the day, and a mind that refused to give up. I carried bricks until my arms went numb, mixed cement until my skin cracked, and worked for men who barked orders like I was nothing. But I showed up every day, rain or shine, because I knew I was building something, not just houses, but a future. By the time I was 22, I had saved enough money to buy a rusty old pickup truck and hire 2 guys from the neighborhood to work with me. That's when I started my own little crew. We called ourselves Green and Sons, even though I didn't have sons yet. It just made it sound official. We'd drive around town, picking up small jobs, repairing broken steps, fixing old porches, building storage sheds in people's backyards. It wasn't glamorous, but we made honest money. It took me 3 years to save enough to buy my first house. It was an old fixer-upper at the edge of town. Broken windows, leaky roof, ugly green paint peeling off the walls. Everyone told me it was a waste of money. But I saw what it could be. I worked on that house every night after my day job, put in new floors, fixed the roof myself, painted every room. When I finally rented it out, the money I made paid for my next house. And then the next one. By the time I was 35, I owned 4 houses and 1 small duplex. My crew had grown too, 10 men by then. Good, honest workers who stuck by me because I treated them right. I gave them fair pay, warm meals on site, and respect. That mattered. My name started meaning something in this town. Walter Green was the guy who worked harder than anyone, the man who could build you a house from the ground up, and he'd do it right. Before I turned 40, I had a decent construction company, multiple rental properties, and something I never thought I'd have growing up, peace of mind. I wasn't rich like the people on TV, but I was rich enough to know my family would never go hungry. I built everything with my own hands, and I was proud of that. I wasn't building wealth just for myself. I did it for my family. I married the love of my life, Gloria, when I was 25. We had 2 kids, Jason and Emily. Jason was the older one. He was born into comfort, a silver spoon, handed to him on a gold plate. Emily came 3 years later, sweet and quiet, always watching, always helping. From the start, Jason was different. He was angry at everything. At teachers, at rules, at life, even though life was already giving him more than it ever gave me. He got kicked out of 2 high schools for fighting. I still remember the day the principal called to say Jason had punched a boy in the cafeteria for looking at him funny. He was 16. I tried everything. Grounding him. Talking to him. Therapy. But he didn't listen. He didn't respect anyone, not even himself. He got his first mugshot at 18 after getting into a fight outside a nightclub. He broke the other guy's nose. We spent thousands in legal fees just to keep him out of jail. I still have the receipt from that lawyer in my drawer. It reminds me that love can be expensive. After that, he bounced around, odd jobs, no direction, drinking too much, getting into more fights. He even stole from our house once. Took my old Rolex and pawned it. I wanted to throw him out then and there, but Gloria stopped me. He's still our son, she said, crying. So we let him stay. And what did he do with all the chances we gave him? Nothing. Not one good thing came from it. While he wasted years doing God knows what, Emily went to nursing school. She stayed home on weekends to take care of her mom when she was sick. She came with me to the doctor when I got my cancer diagnosis. Jason. He didn't even call. For the first year of my illness, it was just Gloria and Emily by my side. Jason was too busy living in a rented apartment with some girl he barely knew. I heard from neighbors that he was still going out every weekend, still drinking, still getting into trouble. Some things don't change. One night, I got a call from the police. They picked Jason up for public intoxication and resisting arrest. They asked if I could come get him. I didn't. I told them to let him sit there. Maybe he'd finally think about his life if he had to look at it from behind bars. Of course, Gloria bailed him out the next morning. She always did. Every family has one child that breaks their heart. For us, it's Jason. What hurt the most was that he didn't even try. Not when I was sick. Not when I was weak. Not when I needed help to walk or sit or breathe. He just watched from a distance like he was waiting for something. And I was right. Because when my health really started to decline, Jason finally came to visit. But he didn't bring flowers or food or comfort. He brought questions about the will. I was sitting on the porch, watching the sky turn orange, when I saw a car I didn't recognize pull into the driveway. It was shiny, loud, and full of attitude, just like the man who stepped out of it. Jason. I hadn't seen him in almost 5 months. My wife, Gloria, came out of the house holding a bowl of soup, and her face froze when she saw him. "What's he doing here?" she said. "I don't know," I said, coughing into a handkerchief. Jason walked up like he owned the place. No hello. No hug. Just a quick nod and a smirk like he was doing us a favor by showing up. "Hey, old man," he said. "You look smaller." Gloria gave him a hard stare. Emily stood in the doorway behind her, arms crossed. Nobody rushed to welcome him. Nobody even offered him a seat. But I still told him, "Sit down, son." He plopped into the chair next to mine and stretched his legs. "How's the cancer thing going?" he asked, like it was the flu or a stubbed toe. Gloria went inside, shaking her head. I didn't answer. I just looked at him. His hair was too clean, his shirt too flashy, and his chain looked like it cost more than my old truck. Yet his eyes, those were empty. Like he didn't care about anything but himself. He cleared his throat. "So, look. I've been thinking about something important." Here it comes, I thought. He leaned in, lowered his voice like he was being kind. "I think it's time we make some changes to the properties. You know, the houses, the company, the land, everything. Might be a good idea to transfer them to my name. You know, since I'm the eldest." I stared at him for a second. "Is that why you're here?" He shrugged. "Look, Dad. Let's not beat around the bush. You're sick. You might not, you know, have a lot of time. I'm your son. This stuff will be mine anyway, so why not handle it now? Save everyone some paperwork later." I felt the heat rise in my chest. "You think just because you were born first, you deserve everything I worked for?" Jason raised his eyebrows. "Well, yeah. That's how things work in families, right? First son takes over. I carry the green name." Emily stepped onto the porch. "You carry the name, but not the responsibility," she said sharply. Jason rolled his eyes. "Oh, here we go. Where were you when Dad was throwing up every morning? When we had to rush him to the ER last December?" she snapped. "You were at some beach party in Miami." "I was busy with life." Jason said. "Not everyone wants to play nurse. And not everyone wants a greedy, useless son who only shows up when there's money involved," Gloria added from the doorway. Jason stood up. "Wow. So now I'm the villain because I want what's rightfully mine." I looked at him, this boy I raised, this man I barely recognized, and said quietly, "You weren't here. You never are. When I was breaking my back laying bricks, you were breaking windows getting into fights. When your mother cried over bills, you were in jail. When Emily gave up her job to help me walk again after chemo, you didn't even call." Jason laughed bitterly. "So you're giving everything to her then? Is that what this is about?" "No," I said, "I've made a will. Everything is going to be divided fairly." He shook his head. Fairly. What's fair about that? I'm the firstborn. It should all be mine. Gloria stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. You don't deserve any of it, Jason. Not a single nail in these houses. Your father bled for this. You didn't even visit when he was told the cancer might spread. But now you want keys to the kingdom. Jason's hands balled into fists. You people don't get it. This family owes me. No, Jason, Emily said, her voice low. This family gave you chance after chance. You wasted every one of them. He looked at all of us, like we were strangers. All right, he said, stepping back. You'll regret this. He turned, walked back to his car, and slammed the door so hard the windows shook. The tires screamed as he backed out and disappeared down the road. I sat there for a long time after he left. My hands were trembling. Not from fear. From heartbreak. He wasn't just asking for property. He was asking for my entire life. After that last visit, things got tense. Not the kind of silence you get after an argument. No, this one was heavy. It lingered like smoke in the house. We were all waiting for the next thing. And it didn't take long. Jason started calling me, every day. Never a greeting. No, how are you, Dad? Or is your health getting any better? Just straight to business. Have you changed the names yet? At first, I stayed calm. I told him again that everything was already written in my will. I told him there was no need to rush. But he didn't want to hear that. You're dragging your feet on purpose, he said one night. You're letting that little nurse-of-the-year sister of mine get inside your head. He kept going. Call after call. Day after day. The tone in his voice started changing too, less asking, more demanding. And then one night, it flipped. If you die tomorrow, all of it should be mine. That's how it works. I'm your son. Your first son. I didn't respond. I just hung up the phone. Then came the text messages. At first, they were just rude. Then they turned aggressive. He said I was being stubborn, selfish, manipulated. He accused Emily of turning me against him. He called his own mother a liar and said she was keeping me alive just to delay the process. I remember Gloria reading one of the texts while I sat next to her. Her hands trembled. She passed me the phone quietly, like it burned to touch. I didn't even want to show Emily. I knew how she'd react. But later that night, she saw one herself, one where Jason said, "If you don't do what needs to be done soon, I swear I'm coming down there and making sure it happens." Emily lost it. She grabbed her keys like she was ready to drive to his apartment that second. "Emily, no," I said. "That's not going to help anything." "I don't care," she said, eyes full of tears. "He doesn't get to talk to you like that. To Mom. To any of us." "I raised him," I said quietly. "I should be the one to fix it." But she just shook her head. "You didn't raise this man." That night, I barely slept. I kept staring at the ceiling, thinking about where things had gone so wrong. I mean, I always knew Jason had a temper. But threatening his own parents. Over property. The next morning, while I was getting my meds ready, I got a call from an old friend, Calvin. We used to work construction together, back when I was just starting out. He'd heard about what was going on through town whispers. "You know I respect you, man," he said. "But you need to protect yourself now. That boy ain't right." I didn't say anything. "Listen," he continued. "You've been good to your family. You've given Jason more chances than anyone else would. But if he's sending threats, you gotta get the law involved. Before something worse happens." I sat there on the phone, quiet. Calvin had always been a straight shooter, never dramatic. If he was saying that, then maybe I really had to listen. Later that day, another friend, Martha, from the church, stopped by with soup for Gloria. She sat down with us and said, "My nephew had the same problem. His son started threatening him over money. They had to file a restraining order. It broke his heart, but it kept him safe." "Jason's my son," I said, feeling my chest tighten. "I'm not ready to do that." Martha nodded gently. I know. But you gotta ask yourself, if he wasn't your son, would you still allow this? That question stayed with me all night. Emily kept saying we had to go to the police. She said Jason was getting worse, and she wasn't wrong. That same evening, he sent another message. If you're not gonna make me owner of the house, just say it to my face. Don't make me come there and deal with it. It didn't feel like a threat anymore. It felt like a warning. Gloria sat next to me on the bed and took my hand. I'm scared, she said. Not just for you, but for us. And for the first time, I admitted it. I'm scared too. That's when we finally decided, if he showed up again and raised his voice, we'd call the police. And if he sent even one more threat, we'd file the papers. I never thought I'd be the kind of father who'd need protection from his own child. But I also never thought my child would become someone I didn't recognize. It happened on a Tuesday morning. I had just finished my tea when I heard someone knocking hard on the front door. It was fast, loud, aggressive. Gloria looked at me, her eyes already wide. Do you think? I got up slowly, my bones aching, and opened the door. There they were, 2 police officers standing on the porch. One of them gave a polite nod. Mr. Walter Green. Yes, I said, confused. We received a report. A domestic disturbance. The caller said there may be signs of elder abuse happening in the home. I blinked. Elder abuse? In my house? They looked past me and saw Gloria sitting on the couch. She was already pale, her hands gripping her knees. Do you mind if we come in, sir? No, come in. I said. They walked in, calm but clearly serious. One officer pulled out a notepad. Are you safe here? He asked Gloria gently. She looked at him like he was speaking another language. Safe? Of course, I'm safe. What is this about? Your son, I muttered. It has to be Jason. That's when it clicked. This was his new game. He couldn't get us to hand over the house or the properties, so now he was going to try and scare us into it. Twist the law. Make it look like we're the problem. Emily walked in from the hallway, still in her pajamas. What's going on? I looked at her. Your brother called the cops. The younger officer looked up. The call came from a Mr. Jason Dawson. He said his father was mentally unwell and being manipulated by other members of the family. He also said there was a concern about physical neglect. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He's lying, I said, my voice shaking. They asked to walk through the house, check for anything suspicious. We let them. Gloria offered them coffee. Emily tried not to yell, but she couldn't help it. This is disgusting. He's playing victim now, after all the things he's done to us. The officers didn't find anything, of course. No signs of abuse. No damage. No raised voices. No unsafe conditions. Just a quiet home and an old man fighting cancer, surrounded by the only 2 people who still cared for him every single day. Before they left, one of the officers pulled me aside and said, I'm really sorry, sir. We get calls like this sometimes when families are in conflict over assets. I hope things calm down for you soon. I nodded, but inside, I was burning. Not just with anger. With shame. He actually did it. He crossed that line. You raise a boy, you feed him, clothe him, pray for him, sacrifice everything you have, and one day he shows up as a man and decides you owe him everything. And if you don't give it to him, he'll destroy you however he can. That night, none of us could sleep. Gloria kept crying. Emily sat at the kitchen table all night just staring at her phone, waiting for another message from him. But it didn't come, not that night. The next day, I called our lawyer. I told him everything. About the threats. The texts. The police visit. He was quiet for a moment, then said, Walter, it might be time to consider legal protection. Not just a restraining order. You may want to consider removing Jason entirely from your will. That was the moment my heart cracked in half. I'm not sure I can do that, I said. I understand. But your son is showing you who he is. And the law only protects you if you take steps to protect yourself. I hung up and went outside. Sat on the old bench I built with my own hands years ago. Watched the sky turn gold over my yard. The same yard Jason used to run through as a boy. Barefoot. Laughing. Happy. What happened to that boy? Where did he go? Later that week, Jason showed up. He didn't knock. He banged. Loud. Angry. Emily ran to the door before I could. She opened it halfway and stood in the gap. What do you want? I came to talk to Dad, he said, pushing forward. You're not coming in here, she said. Not after what you did. I stood up slowly behind her. My chest was tight. My legs hurt. But I needed to say something. I don't know what you think this is, Jason. But I'm done being threatened in my own home. He looked at me like I was a stranger. You're choosing them over your son. Fine. You'll regret it. Then he turned and walked away, just like that. And I stood there, my heart breaking and my hands shaking, realizing something I never thought I'd say. I don't know my son anymore. The last few months had been the hardest of my life, but somehow, I was still here. Each day felt like a gift, fragile, precious, and full of meaning. Gloria never left my side, and Emily became more than just our daughter, she was our shield and our hope. Jason was still tangled up with the law, his court dates dragging on, but for the first time in a long time, he was cut off from us. The lawyers had made sure of that. The restraining order wasn't just a piece of paper anymore. It was a shield that covered not just my wife, Gloria, and my daughter, Emily, but also the properties and everything I had worked so hard for. Jason had no say in what I chose to do with my life's work. No access, no control, no chance to threaten us again. I remember the day I signed the will, the document that made it all official. The lawyer, a steady woman named Mrs. Carlson, looked at me kindly but firmly. Mr. Green, this will ensure that your daughter, Emily, inherits everything. Your properties, your business interests, everything you've built. I nodded, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. Jason won't be able to contest this. I asked quietly. Not if we keep it airtight. We've made sure the restraining order and the will work hand in hand, she said. Emily's protected. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. For years, I had worried about what would happen to my legacy, to the family I wanted to protect. But now, I was sure. Emily would be taken care of. And Jason, well, he was on his own. Gloria squeezed my hand. You did the right thing, Walter. We all did. It felt like a final victory, small, but mighty. Those properties weren't just buildings or investments. They were the sweat and tears of my youth, the foundation of a future I dreamed of. And now, they would belong to the one person who truly cared, Emily. She had been there through everything. The nights spent by my bedside, the fights with Jason, the tears, and the laughter. She never gave up on me, even when her brother turned his back. One afternoon, as I sat on the porch watching the sun dip behind the trees, Emily sat beside me. Dad, she said softly, we're going to be okay. I promise. I smiled, feeling the warmth of her words seep deep inside me. I know, Emily. Because you're stronger than any storm. Gloria joined us, and for a moment, it was just us, a family who had weathered the worst and come out stronger. I wasn't blind to what was happening inside my body. Every breath was harder to take. Every step, a little more painful. But I was at peace. I had fulfilled my promise to myself and my family. I had fought for what mattered. Jason's absence felt strange but necessary. The son who once demanded everything had lost his grip. The police visits stopped. The threats ended. And the shadows that had haunted my last years slowly lifted. I started spending more time with Gloria and Emily, telling stories from my past, sharing memories of my father and grandfather, and talking about hopes for the future. Emily listened, her eyes wide with wonder. You've built something amazing, Dad, she said one day, and I'll make sure it lasts. That meant everything to me. Even though I knew my time was short, I wasn't afraid. I had fought my battles. I had protected my family. And now, I could rest knowing Emily would carry on the legacy. Sometimes, I thought about Jason. What had happened to the boy I once loved? The dreams we had shared as a family. But I pushed those thoughts away. There was no room for anger or regret now, only peace. In my quieter moments, I would close my eyes and imagine a world where we were all together, healthy, and happy. But life rarely gives us that kind of ending. Instead, it gives us moments of strength, of love, and of hope. And I held on to those moments tightly. One evening, as the stars began to twinkle above, Gloria sat with me, her hand in mine. "We'll face whatever comes, Walter. Together." I nodded, feeling a deep calm wash over me. "Thank you," I whispered. "For everything." Because in the end, that's all any of us really want, to know we mattered, that we made a difference, and that the ones we love will be safe when we're gone. And that's how I wanted to be remembered. Not as a man broken by illness or betrayal, but as a man who loved fiercely, fought bravely, and left a legacy worth fighting for. As I counted my days, I found peace in knowing that I had done all I could. And that, no matter what, my family would be all right. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more real-life stories just like this. Let me know in the comments what would you have done if you were in my shoes. I'd love to know if I made the right decision to cut my son off for good. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.